Happy day after Christmas. At least that's when I'm recording this, 2022. We are now in Jonah 2:6. Whoever put the verse divisions here, I think it was probably Stephanus in the year 1550. I think he probably got it wrong here. You'll see in a second. And so I've copied kind of the end of the previous verse. The previous verse, Jonah, again, he's gone poetic. He's in the fish, or at least he's reflecting on his time in the fish. And he says, reeds were wrapped around my head. Again, he's picturing himself at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea where the weeds are. Reeds were wrapped around my head, and that's where verse 7 comes into. La kizve harim, to the roots of the mountains. So I think he's picturing himself basically, I'm down here at the bottom of the sea. You know, I've got reeds on my head. Isn't it very attractive? You know, and this is where the mountains start, which, again, I'm not sure if that makes a lot of sense because Philistia, you know, was flat at the where it meets the sea. It's actually flat. But anyway, you might think of the mountains having their roots in the sea. That's, I think, a fairly standard way of thinking of it. You can look at the commentaries, see what they say. But as far as grammar, what do we have here? So you know la means to. You know seriod, that's the masculine plural construct ending. That's where the of comes from. You know, the roots of, it's masculine plural construct. And then the mountains. Now, the isn't there. At first I thought, well, maybe that hey is the mountains, but har is hill or mountain. Hill would be a better translation, to be honest, because there aren't mountains like Wales or Scotland, you know, or even the Rockies. There's nothing that big in Israel. But anyway, so there's no the here. Poetry, we have to insert words, you know, because they're being poetic. It's very conservative in the use of language. So to the roots of the mountains, Hirk Yod Mem, you should know, im, as that's the S, that's where the S comes from. So here we have a masculine plural absolute. Here we have a masculine plural construct, to the roots of the mountains. Okay, that's where he's at. I'm down here at the bottom of the sea. So period should go here. That's where Stephanus should have put the verse division, I think. We continue with the next bit. Yarad ti haaretz ba rekeha. Ba rekeha. Okay, and the accent typically goes on the second to last syllable when you have a possessive. This is its. Okay, what do we recognize? T, I hope you recognize, is a perfect first common singular ending. That's where the I comes from. Now, when you first look at yarad, you might have thought, I wonder if that's an imperfect with that yod. It's not. That's the real hair. Yarad is the word. So it's not imperfect, it's perfect. First common singular from yarad, and it's the base stem. So I went down, and again, we have to stick the word to in here. It's poetic. I went down the ground. I think he's talking about being down at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. He's down at the bottom of the sea. Barekeha, the ha is a third masculine singular possessive. I prefer the whole involved version, but in this case, with the yod there, it goes with ha, and that's his. But again, Hebrew doesn't have a neuter, or it would use a neuter here, probably. But it's goes with barak. You might think that buzz in. It's not. It's the real hair. Barak means, in this case, bars or gates or something like that. So its gates. I went down to the ground. Whose gates or its gates? Ba'adi la'olam. Its gates were upon me to forever. Basically, I was about to enter. Enter the bottom, the gates of hell, the gates of Sheol. I was about to enter down there. Its bars or its gates were upon me as I went down to the bottom of the sea. So anyway, by the way, the yod here is what tells you it's plural, bars, plural. You see a yod in harim. You see a yod here in la kizve. So yod is a sign of the plural here, masculine plural here. It's bars, upon me to forever. Here yod is me, and then ba'ad here is upon. It's a preposition. And then La means to, and olam, you should know that word. It means forever. So the bars of the bottom of the ground, they were upon me forever, or the gates, of the ground were upon me, leading me to forever. I was about to enter the gates of forever. Okay, so another period. Let's keep going. Va'ta'al mishakat kaya. Okay, I think but works better here. I'm going to take it as a disjunctive vav rather than a conjunctive vav, because everything's a negative and doom prior to this part, and now it gets better. But you brought me out of the miry clay. So you caused me to come up from the pit. You caused, well, actually you didn't cause me, you caused kaya. You caused my life. This is the object. The subject is you. I'm going to look at va'ta'al in a moment, analyze it. You see the vav patak doubling, so you know it's a converted imperfect. So that means it's a past tense. The tav is a second masculine singular preformative, so it's imperfect, converted imperfect, right? So it's you, God, masculine singular, caused my life. The yod here, I believe, is my. Kaya is life, and then the yod is my life. We saw here, upon me, here. So yod at the end is a good sign of me or my. And then mishakat, the mem hiric doubling is min, which has a nun at the end, but nun assimilates when no vowel separates, and so the nun has been sucked into the sheen and has become a doubled sheen. Mishakat. Shakat is a word for the pit. It's a synonym with Sheol. We might translate it abyss. But you caused my life to go up from the abyss. I was at the gates of Sheol. I was the gates of death. I was at the gates of the pit, but you brought me up. You caused me to come up. You caused my life to come up. Again, we'll come back to Va'ta'al in a second. O Yahweh, my God. And again, we see the yod is my God, just like we said kaya is my life, and ba'adi is upon me. So the yod at the end is a first singular possessive or object in many cases. Yahweh, and then Elohai. Elohai. This is, I think, based on Eloah, which is another version of Elohim, and it means God in a generic kind of sense. Okay? Whew, there, we're done with the translation. I want to, again, talk a little bit, just briefly as we end, about va'ta'al. You know the vav patak doubling, that's the converted imperfect bit. We talked about the tav as imperfect second masculine singular, you. The verb is Allah, which means to go up. You'll notice the hey has gone away. The hey has gone away. This is a third hey verb, that is the third main consonant is a hey. It is a particular kind of weak verb. And what is weak about it? Well, the hey goes away quite frequently. And especially in converted imperfects, the hey goes away. And so you looked at it and you said, what are the three consonants here? Well, one of the possibilities was that the hey went away, and that's in fact what has happened here. So all of this should therefore be fairly clear, but what about this Hiph'il? I'm saying it's a Hiph'il. Well, one of the clues to recognizing a Hiph'il, or an H stem, is a patak under an imperfect performative. We've seen this before, I think. And so the patak there is a hint that this is a Hiph'il converted imperfect, or a Hiph'il preterite. And you can see that the translation, you caused my life to go up. The Hiph'il stem, the H stem, is a causative stem. It's not you went up, it's you caused to go up. Well, that's enough for now. This has been Jonah 2:6, and we have reviewed third hey, weak verbs, and the Hiph'il, an indication of the Hiph'il imperfect, namely the patak under the performative.